Hello everyone, Bryce K. Nielsen here with my second video on Think and Grow Rich. I decided to do a live today. I may keep doing this in future weeks, but I'll be doing one of these videos every Sunday. Today, I'm on the second principle of Think and Grow Rich, which is chapter 4 in my contemporary version. In the regular original numbering, it was chapter 3. And I've got like 7 pages of notes on this. I'm not going to read all of that, but I'll pick and choose pieces from it that seem very helpful and meaningful for me. And I'll also give you an update with what I've been doing with the commitment information I wrote after chapter 1 last week. So, chapter 4, faith in your ability. There are no limitations to the mind except those that we acknowledge. So faith, as Napoleon Hill defines it, is absolute confidence and belief that you can do the thing that you desire. It's not about a religious faith, it's about your belief in yourself. And in order to be meaningful, it has to be felt at a subconscious level. There's a technique for acquiring that faith if you don't have it now, which is, he discusses it a little bit. It's called autosuggestion, and that's actually the next chapter, so I'll be studying that starting tomorrow. But this one is about why faith is important. So faith is what takes, when you have your desire in the first chapter, your strong desire, burning desire, and faith is what translates that desire into its physical form, that thought. So you're converting your spiritual thing into a physical thing, and faith is what does it. It's a state of mind that can be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. The repetition of affirmations is like giving orders to your subconscious mind, and it is the only known method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. So this isn't working what I've been doing anyway. I was hoping I could pick out stuff from my notes, but it's a little hard to do that when I'm already on camera. Hang on. He says, after you master the 13 principles in this book, you'll be able to develop faith in your abilities at will. I really like that part. It will develop naturally. The thing that you do is you give a strong emotion to your thought, and that's what carries it to the subconscious mind. Faith, he says, is the element that determines the action of the subconscious mind. There's a lot of editors' comments in this contemporary version I've been posting, or I've been listening to. There's a lot of great editors' comments. So, for example, they give this example of a power of visualization. They give an example of a study of basketball players, where they divided the basketball players into 3 groups, and they assigned each one a different method of developing their basketball ability, making free shots. The first group was assigned to practice making shots every day. The second group was told not to practice and not to even think about basketball. And the third group was told not to practice, but to use their practice time visualizing in detail what you have to do to make a basket. And so the second group, the control group, they didn't do anything with basketball. Their ability to make baskets got worse. The first group that was practicing, their ability increased quite a bit, and the third group, which only visualized themselves doing it, they increased almost as much as the first group. So that visualization is very powerful. He also says in his definition of faith, if you have a nagging doubt in the back of your mind, your subconscious mind is going to pick up on that. So you have to your belief that you can do it has to be absolute. The subconscious mind, unlike the conscious mind, does not judge if things are good or bad, positive or negative, or even if they're true. But what it does do is respond to the power of the input, and that's where the emotional force comes into it. And he identifies you want it. This works for good, for positive or negative emotions. Many people who are struggling or have so-called bad luck maybe don't know it, but they are actually they're actually visualizing bad things, and they're actually creating a bad reality through their subconscious mind, which is programmed to look for those things. So it's important to encourage positive emotions, and he says the three most important positive emotions are faith, love, and sex. So faith is the one we're discussing today. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of wealth. It's the basis of all miracles and all mysteries that cannot be analyzed by the rules of science. It's the only known antidote for failure. It's the element that, when mixed with desire, gives you direct communication with infinite intelligence, which is the part of your brain that gives you insights and ideas. You're more responsive to that when you have faith, because your subconscious mind is trying to communicate with you, and your conscious mind isn't listening, basically, if you're stuck in a negative mindset. Faith is the element that transforms the ordinary vibration of thought created by the human mind into the spiritual equivalent, and it's the only way the force of infinite intelligence can be harnessed and used. He has a section on the magic of self-suggestion. You will come to believe whatever you repeat to yourself, whether the statement is true or false. If you repeat a lie over and over, you will eventually accept that lie as truth. You will believe that lie is true. You are what you are because of the dominating thoughts that you permit to occupy your mind. This one I'm going to have to post. It's a great quote. Let me go on. He says a thought that is magnetized with any of the emotions is like a seed. You plant it in fertile soil and it germinates and grows and attracts more thoughts like it. And so he asks us to write out a statement of our major purpose and definite chief aim, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud day after day. There's a self-confidence formula. I'll probably put another link for the YouTube video that I got the audio from that I'm listening to. It's over 10 hours long, not condensed, but like I said, it has a lot of great contemporary editors' comments. This self-confidence formula, it takes a couple minutes. I'm not going to read it on here, but it starts at 2 hours and 2 minutes into the recording. The first point is, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. And I'll go on. There's like 5 points, and then you sign your name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day. Those who end in failure and defeat do so because of negative application of autosuggestion. Now, this chapter was about 50 minutes long in the audio recording that I was listening to. I didn't take notes on all of it because I get to there's a story that takes up a great deal of the second half of the chapter, which is how an idea built a fortune, and it's all about something that happened in the year 1900. It was about a business meeting about the establishment of a new business called U.S. Steel. Involved a meeting between Charles M. Schwab, who was president of Carnegie Steel, worked for Andrew Carnegie, and he had the idea to form a new steel corporation and to get his boss, Andrew Carnegie, to sell his steel businesses to J.P. Morgan, who was the banker that was financing the main competitors to Carnegie. And so he gave this speech at a club in New York. He met with Carnegie a couple different places, and there were 6 of the 13 principles illustrated in this chapter, including faith. Charles Schwab figured out what he wanted to do. He had the desire, he had the faith, he formulated a plan, he put the plan into action with his speech, he applied and followed through with persistence, and then he persuaded Andrew Carnegie to sell. And so the whole thing went through. There's a lot of, in the original version, the story might be hard to follow, but in the one I've been listening to, there's a lot of editors' comments here explaining what the business environment was like. It's very useful. If you guys have had a problem with this particular part of the book, I recommend looking at this version that I have. There is, let's go on here. There are two books. The editors of the modern version recommend two business books. There was a surge of interest in reading books about successful businesses starting in the 1980s. And two of those early books they recommend because they deal with multiple industries, multiple businesses. One of them is called In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. Another is called Breakthroughs by P.R. Nyack and John Kettering. I haven't looked to see how easy it is to find those books yet, but I will be interested in looking those up. So this book is very helpful because it reminds me that this is part of a system. In the editor's notes for the first chapter, they said this book is not something to pick and choose. You don't want to just pick one thing out of this chapter and one thing out of this chapter. You want to read the whole book and do everything that it says because it's a whole system that goes together. I'm going to be studying this for a total of 13 weeks, which is 3 months. This is my second week that I just finished. I'm very encouraged by what I've read so far. Let me pull up my notes from my plan last week. So I wrote down 6 steps after last week. I wrote down 6 steps of the exact amount of money I desire, what I will give in return. I need to revise that part a little bit because I may have misunderstood it. When exactly you want the money. So it's important to be very specific with this. A plan for how to achieve that, what services you're going to give. You write it all down, and then you review it every day, twice a day, night and morning, and visualize and see and feel yourself in possession of that money. So I've been working on this. I missed a couple of times early on, but basically for the last week I've been doing that once or twice a day. And to help myself visualize the money, I even searched for downloaded pictures of what that amount of money looks like in cash. And I'm going to keep on doing that and add on the steps that are in the chapter I just read. And I'm really looking forward to starting tomorrow on auto suggestion because that one is also a very specific method. And it is the way that you reprogram your subconscious mind with the desires, with what kind of person that you want to be. Because it's really the subconscious mind that controls our actions. I learned a lot about this from Bob Proctor, who's been studying this book, the same book for nearly 60 years. And he talks about paradigm shift all the time. The paradigm is the complex of beliefs and habits at the subconscious level that developed in you when you were very young. So really it's programming that was given to you by other people, but it's now controlling your actions and behavior and habits. But through this method that I'll be studying next week, it is something that you can decide to change and deliberately reprogram yourself with it. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that part of the journey with you. If anybody has any questions, I see I've got a few viewers here. I'd be happy to take them, or just let me know where you're from or what you got out of this. I'll probably go for a few more minutes. I was going to go at least 15 minutes, but I could keep going. I got through all the notes I wanted to cover. So, faith. There's something I've been learning about all my life, but it wasn't defined quite the way he talks about it. It was a religious concept. But it was interesting. At one point in the chapter, he talks about Jesus having faith, and he was not referring to religious faith. He was referring to Jesus having absolute confidence that he could do the things that he was setting out to do. And then in the same section, they talk about Mahatma Gandhi. He had no money, really, no wealth. He didn't even have a suit of clothes. What he had was an understanding of the power of faith and the ability to inspire 200 million other people with that faith, and that united the people of India, and that basically that changed their country. That's what got them their independence from UK. Was his faith and the following that he had. All right. Well, it looks like I'm not getting any comments yet at this point, but I'm sure I'll come back later after the video's concluded. Anyway, look forward to seeing everyone on my next video. Oh, thanks, Anthony. Good to see you. That's great. Yes, absolutely. I do absolutely believe this. I mean, I've been reading this book off and on. I should say I was first exposed to it way back in high school or college. I don't know exactly when my parents got it, but I think at that time in my life I was more in the read the book and wait to do something until I figure it out later. One of the reasons why I decided, like, I'm sure I'm going to do more books after I finish this one, but this one I'm taking a week per chapter because it is some heavy stuff. I'm sure some of the other books I may just do one video on an entire book, but this one is some heavy stuff, which is probably why I didn't do anything with it in high school. We had some other self-development books too, but there's another one I remember called As a Man Thinketh, which is a very short book. But anyway, so I've been learning about the power of positive thought. I'm going to post my YouTube video that I converted into an audio so I could listen. Take it with me when I'm not at home and listen. I'll post that in the comments here. Well, I've done it a couple times before, but what I'd really like to do is figure out some way to get it on my profile, but I don't want to delete any of the links I already have there. I could put it on my About page, but I don't know if anybody's going to go looking for it there. Thanks, Terry. Oh, yes. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There you go. Originally published in 1937, but I'm listening to a version from about 2001, 2002. I'm not sure the exact date. It keeps being revised over and over. Anyway, appreciate the comments and the views, and I think I'm going to end it now. We're almost at 20 minutes, and I'll see everybody around. And if you're watching this later, feel free to drop me a comment and say if you've studied this, what you found value from, or what other book you're reading possibly for self-development. That would be a good comment too. Anyway, see everybody later. Have a good night and happy Father's Day to everyone. Okay, good night. Oh, you're welcome, Anthony.